Peace. Hey, you guys, I've got a lesson for you today. And look, I've got myself a dry erase machine here, too. All right. I actually have two lessons. I'm going to give you one lesson at a time. All right. First off, we have to talk about this idea of Ezekiel. When Ezekiel in the book of, you should read this. This is talking about the Jews. All right. The Jewish people. All right. It's the Old Testament. And what you get out of this is you get another, I'm telling you, just listen to it. Before you get more than 15 minutes into it, he's reciting the business of Revelations, where I'll send a third. There's a third, I'm going to, split you into three. And we just did this lesson. Where a third I was going to give you some pestilence, and something else I was going to give him someone else, and then the third was going to do this. So, he was going to make his wrath be known, all right, which is no different than the whole story of what's his name, Moses. Let my people free, and he says, and he hardens the heart of Pharaoh so that he would know his wrath, So this is the whole idea of the works that we talk about, that when we have to do a works, you've got to make sure that you really want to be on this other side, So you got to learn the fear of God before you come over, And a good number of us learn that. But anyways, here I'm going to turn around. I'm going to get back in my head while I talk to you about symbolism. And I'm also explain a whole lot of things at one time. And I'm going to use this information behind me to do it with, all right? It's just part of me learning how to teach. Okay. Well, first off, Ezekiel is a priest in the story. So, and he finds that God made himself available to him. And he wanted him to go and tell his friends down there, you ain't doing shit, you guys, and screw you. And he says, and I'm going to make this the way it is. You'll never get over to this other side because y'all are just mean and ornery, just saying that they're just monsters. They don't work. They're not worthy of coming over to this other side. And so we find out really in the Bible that no one's made worthy. Everyone is made to do these works. So what he sees and what Ezekiel sees is this whirlwind, which is a representing of a curling or turning, spiraling type of emotion. And in the midst of it was an amber midst. That's the amber. This is where that is. Look at that. It just falls apart so nice. In the midst of the flame, the amber color, which is the sun, is the solar plexus of our body. That's what that is. That's also the third chakra. This is the seat of Satan. This is where Father hangs out. This is his buddy, right? This is where he goes. It's right here. And when people go down, when you actually shut off the left side of your brain, that's from here down goes to sleep. This part here goes to sleep. But anyways, these are the 7 candlesticks, and this is the 7 flames that stand before the throne of God. God is represented as a world. And what you get out of this is you get a north and an east and a south and a west. But the way they talk about it, remember now, 4 is what we are teaching. I'm teaching you about the number 4. All right. It's one of the hardest things to understand because it being a direction. And you really are just taking yourself from going from the western side through your emotions, which is the north, and then bringing the body along, which is the south, and then making it over to the east, over to the other side. And this represents black. This is a black in the book, the story. Anything that comes from the black side, BLA, black side, red side, then the red red horses, and pale is the color of our body, P-A-L-E. I don't know how to spell it. Maybe I'm a terrible speller. And this over here is white. So anyone that makes it over to this side gets to wear white. This is the raiment. You get to have white on the side. Moses made it over there and got his white face. You couldn't look upon him, stuff like that. But black is the intellectual side, which is the West, right here. And the North is our emotional side, which is why we've fallen. This is that we've taken on a lower. We've taken on the wife. We're clinging to the wife instead of to the mother. All right. We don't even see mother in these stories. They totally wipe her out. All right. But we hear about it. We know about it. We can hear her. We can hear her. All right. And the South is our body. That's the brethren. This is the all the guys in the zodiac. This is all our body, because over here you see this Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. This is your head and your throat. Here are your two arms. Cancer here. This is going to be probably your lungs, or this area right in here. But you can see that these things all represent a certain part of our body, down to our feet. So this is the brethren. All right. That's just that's the brethren. That's how it works. Okay. And these are also individual worlds in their own selves. This is the nations, because that's what they're considering. The outside of you is this nations. And there's other nations. It's a ruling over nations. It's the idea that you get to rule over all these different parts of your body, your own self. You get back here. So anyways, what he sees, and later on, this is also God leaving. All right, this is God getting up and going on its way, and everybody gets fed shit, gets fed from their own ass. Fine. This is another story about the Ezekiel bread. You've heard this, I'm sure. But anyways, there's this a throne. He who sits upon the throne is likened to a man, but he has the face of a man. Has on the west side, on the left side, face of an ox. On the east side, or to the right of this face, is a lion going to the east. And then we have an eagle being represented as the south. So these are the four fixed signs of the zodiac that teaches people. This is where north and south and east and west. These are fixed signs. That's why they're in the Bible. This is why it's all connected. And at the same time, you're being told, hey, this is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with anything in the sky. Even though they say, the stars in the sky are being used for signs. Dumbasses. Can I hear amen out of that? But anyways, so what do we get out of this? Out of this lesson, we find that the west side is representing ox, Taurus. It's representing Earth as Earth. So in the stories, when they talk about being freed and stuff like that, Earth is the left side of the brain, the intellect, where we work out of. That's what this means. That's what they're talking about. The east over here is where we're wanting to go. It's fire, and it's the spiritual side. It's white. It's Leo. This is the other side of this. Let's come back over here again to this lineup. We start off with the Virgin Mind right here, Virgo. This is how we start our meditation. We empty the mind. So we start off with a virgin mind. We're looking for balance. We're balancing between the right and the left side of our brains. And we are till this is Scorpio. Scorpio becomes this part of us, which is the body and water. Remember, we have to go through water. We have to be baptized by water. But this is this idea that you're following around this all the way around to Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and wind up back in Leo, because Leo is the east, is where you want to go. So you'll find that it all has to do with this Virgo. This is Dinah. This is the woman. This is the one girl born to Jacob. It's just the way it is, and he's got a couple of twins in here for Gemini. But it just works out so beautifully. So anyway, so we have our Earth over here, which is representing the left side of the brain. We have our spiritual side representing the right side of the brain. And they say right. It comes right out and it says right. This is where you want to toss your nets to, because this is where mother is. This is mother and father. But you are in here too, because you're a man, and this eagle. The eagle is Scorpio, of course, from a long time ago. This has to match up for many different eons. Let's see. So they all of these have a calf's foot. Remember, you're the Lamb of God, and I don't know more to talk about on this here, other than what we want is in our certain states when we are born into this world. When we're born into this world, this is all black. They said the West. See what you have is there's the Earth, and here let's give it some kind of anything like that. But anyways, we have in reality what it is it's the dark side, which is the black, and it turns. The Earth goes like this here, and it overcomes the white side. So what we have is we have the intellectual side of us ruling over us, because I read this in a book somewhere. I read this. This is the way it is, and this is. And so the mind, the intellect takes over for the spiritual side. And so what we have learned to do is to go past what you can read or what you see to the spirit of this text, which would be reading it like what we're seeing. It seems a little harder, but once you understand this, it's not so hard at all. The person who sits on the throne here, he who sits on the throne, where the four beasts fall on their face and worship the one in the chair. You are the one in the chair. You're the one bringing all of this about. You have asked the lower side of you to give yourself up, so that you can reach over to the Leo, to your rebooting your mind and fixing everything up and gaining control over yourself. And I just thought this was the most wonderful thing. So the whole idea behind all of this story here, all the storytelling here, business, is how God works in you. And that, it's not a self-loving or self-worshipping or anything like that. It's the understanding that God is trapped otherwise. This is what they say, that if you don't let what's in you out, what's in you can kill you. All right? But see, it could also bring you back alive. So this is what we try to do. And the number 4 is about worlds, and you can't do worlds without the chakra system. You have to be able to, they said this is the churches, and this is the crown. This would be the top part, the seventh chakra, the day of the Lord. And of course, the numbers would go on to 8 and 9. 8 is a control situation, whereas now you're wearing the white robe now, so that's a control situation. And 9 means that everything is lined up towards God. That's all. That's the way it is. And all that dogma aside, this is God. This is the world that he takes over is yours, and he didn't take over. You gave it to him. You asked for him to take it over. It's so beautiful. But this is our brain up here that we're talking about. That's it. There's nothing more than that. This is why Jesus can't be this real person, all right? In the second chapter, and I'm going to do that next, okay? Second chapter of Ezekiel, you'll hear what sounds exactly like what's going on in the Christian side on the New Testament in Revelations. It's an exact copy. Well, I would say exact copy, but you can hear it very well, very well. And no one's pulling the wool over your eyes. No, well, your eyes are being opened. Okay, but anyways, this is the symbolism behind that, and it's really simple. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand it. And this, I'm reminded of this is when it comes down. I was listening to some wonderful stories from the past. Like the Siddhartha. There's a wonderful story about a Brahmin, the son of a Brahmin, and its age is old. So, it's as old as some of the legends that we listen to. But Siddhartha, what a wonderful story. It follows the code beautifully. And it doesn't have anything to do with religion other than it's telling the story about someone going on the path so it's another story about someone finding enlightenment. And it's a pretty cool thing because he winds up being a guy that takes people across the river. Winds up being his job. It sounds familiar. It should be like a St. Christopher story. Yeah, oh yeah, very much so. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But why people can't see that they all are really talking about the same thing, maybe there's just not enough detail in people's lives. But there's just a million ways to tell this story. But every one of them are following, even if there's a million ways, there's only one set of numbers that they can use to do this with. Just wild. Anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. And let's see here. I'll see you guys later. I got more for you. I do. Best to you.